guys see all the fuzz?
But the problem is that the shadows. All right. Brothers and sisters, this is a very special moment. We're here at a wonderful farm, an organic farm here in California, Full Belly Farm. I'm with Judith Redmond, and we're in an apricot orchard. The fruits are just coming on right now. You can see the small little apricots, and it's a vibrant, wonderful, lush, magnificent spring day here. And Judith, I have a couple questions for you, if we could begin. And the first question, which I'm dying to ask, is that the name of your farm, let's agree, is rather unusual. I've heard of Meadow Sweets Farm, of Sweet Clover Farm, of this or that, but I've never heard of a farm called Full Belly. How does that originate? Where does that come from?
It came from several ideas, but one of them is that we have this vision of a world where everyone's belly will be nurtured and filled with delicious organic produce and fruits and vegetables.
Oh,
so
I see.
Everyone in the world should get a chance to partake in the bounty.
Oh, and
that we feel like the earth can provide.
Oh, how wonderful, because you read in the paper of millions of starving children in Southeast Asia and so forth. And you're saying that the bountifulness of the earth, if treated properly and respectively, can certainly provide and feed us all.
I so believe that. I think it's that the earth can provide it. It's just that all of us need to kind of get together and think about how to make that happen. It's not because the earth is limited as much as we need to provide, clean water and access to land and access to infrastructure like refrigerators and trains and cars and transportation, and those kinds of things are much more the impediment. It's all about how we organize our society.
So it all begins right here.
Yeah.
It all begins right here. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with you. And all of these escapes or quick fixes or technical quick fixes, which I have to mention, such as relying on GMOs, for example, as a quick fix, and that's going to feed the starving millions out there, or so on and so forth. Are all things that are so sad and so tragic. It all begins with organic and nurturing the earth and treating the earth in a respectful and righteous way. So that's where Full Belly, that's where the name originated. I'm so glad, because I was always so very, very curious about it. I thought it had something to do with making babies, but I see that's not quite the thing, or maybe it's a first step. All right, so good. I've certainly learned something. And for how long have you been here on the land?
So this land that we're standing on right now has been certified organic since 1985. Mm-hmm. I think that makes it some very special soil, some very special earth.
I see. And just how many acres do you have?
We grew from about 120 acres to now we're about almost 400 acres of certified organic.
400 acres.
Agriculture.
Which when you consider that since it's organic, most of the processes that they use are labor intensive, are all by hand. That's a lot of work indeed. So you have a lot of people here working on the land.
Yeah, we do. And because we're a very diverse farm, we grow fruits and vegetables year-round. We also have animal production. We're able, and lots of flowers, we're able to keep people employed pretty close to year-round. And that's one of our goals, is to keep them employed year-round. So, at the quietest time of the year, there might only be about 60 people. Then when the busiest time of the year comes, there might be about 100.
Around 100 people.
So it does grow, but we do have a core group that stays with us year round.
And you have a sort of an internship program.
And yes, Full Belly does have an internship program because we want to grow future farmers. We want to see more people as farmers growing produce the way that we do. And so there are 5 people who live here on this farm year-round, every year, and spend a whole year with us doing all the different things that it takes to learn about sustainable agriculture and organic agriculture.
Oh, how good. And I imagine that the interns you have are very diverse in their backgrounds and their countries. You know, they may even be from different countries or from certainly from very different backgrounds too. So it serves as a sort of a melting pot. It gives them a commonality, so to speak.
Yeah.
You mentioned fruit trees. You mentioned fruit. Just what fruits and nuts are you currently growing?
We grow almonds and walnuts. Then we grow a lot of stone fruits like peaches, nectarines, and apricots. And we have grapes, and we have a few oranges.
Oh, and oranges too, right?
Yeah.
Which I certainly participate in at the farmers market. The oranges that they grow are magnificent navel oranges,
Sweet.
and they're simply the best. And they're so magnificent and large, you cannot ask for better. You certainly cannot. So that's good. I'm very, very glad to know this. And then as far as veggies go, just what are your principal crops?
Well, it's seasonal, so it changes every year. In the summertime, tomatoes, melons, eggplants, cucumbers. In the spring, like right now, we have some asparagus and beets and lettuce and greens like chard and kale. In the fall, that's when we start having those grapes, those table grapes.
Oh, the grapes
and
are so luscious.
The hard winter squash. So yeah, we have, it changes all the time. We have lots of different tomatoes. That's one thing we grow a lot of. We have potatoes in the fall and the spring.
Potatoes are magnificent that they happen to grow. So good. I'm very glad to and of course spinach is one of my favorites. That the spinach of Full Belly Farm is beyond compare.
All of the cool weather crops that Jesse likes so much get sweeter when it's cold. So spinach can really, it brings out the sweetness on those cold, frosty nights that we have here in the winter and spring.
Yeah, and another outstanding crop is that melons. You have an extraordinary diversity of melons. You have some really, really magnificent ones. If you'd like to name a few.
Yeah, we're always growing different melons, but we have some standby. So we grow watermelons, things like the orchid and the yellow doll and the bigger red crimson sweet. And then we have some of your standard melons, except like we do grow cantaloupes, but much more we're interested in some of the heirloom varieties, the specialty varieties. So the things like ambrosia and Hogan and you know, there's other old varieties like the Eel River or the honeylope, which is kind of a cantaloupe honeydew cross. Lots of different varieties are out there that you might not normally know about, but they grow really well here.
Oh, the farmers market, the produce that you bring to the farmers market is an extraordinary gift to the people of Berkeley. It truly is. I mean, just the diversity of the melons that they bring, the diversity of the tomatoes, the sweet corn, the grapes, not to mention kale, spinach, Swiss chard, and magnificent lettuce. It's all it's a wonder just to visit them in the Berkeley Farmers Market and see the diversity and wonder. You also mentioned heirloom fruits, and one of the things that you're focused on is preserving rare or old time or out of the way varieties. That's pretty important these days.
Yeah, well, we are interested in varieties that respond to our climate and our organic agriculture with beauty and nutrition and taste. So those are the things that we're looking for. And unfortunately, in larger scale or more industrialized kinds of agricultural models, people are breeding for fruits and vegetables that are somewhat standardized, like they can pack really easily in standard sizes. Perhaps the plants can all be harvested at once, so the whole plant is just harvested at once. Maybe they store well after harvest so that they can be shipped and they don't bruise. And those really, for our model of agriculture, isn't what we're looking for, because we want to get the produce to its kitchen as fast as possible, so that in the kitchen people can eat it right away, and it'll be at the height of deliciousness. So it's sort of a whole different model, and so what we're looking for is different. And it turns out that some of the older varieties, what they call the heirloom varieties that were on farms, open pollinated, and picked by the farmer, and then saved the seeds to pick those things that were most beautiful and the most tasty, and then pass those seeds down generation after generation. Those turn out to be more the varieties that we find to be of interest here at Fobelli.
I'm so glad that you mentioned saving seeds, because in the average modern, in every traditional farm, it's what they did. They had to do this. And it also means that at the same time, they're also breeding and selecting and improving the varieties. Whereas that in most modern farms, you will not find that the farmer simply purchases farmers simply purchase commercial seed year after year. But actually, to go ahead and preserve heirloom seeds, that's a great calling in itself, and it's so very, very important, especially now in these times. So I'm very, very glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that. So, as I understand it also, besides fruits, nuts, and vegetables, you also have animals on the farm. Would you like to tell us a little about that? We do have
animals on the farm, and we have made quite a point about the fact that the animals are part of our rotation, and that animals serve a very important purpose in agriculture and in the human existence. I think in modern agriculture, animals and farmers, animals and vegetables and fruits are separated. And the animals are all concentrated in small little enclosures together, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, thousands of them, all together and sort of separate from the rest of the world. And what we do with our model of animal rearing is that we actually integrate those animals into our rotations. So when this cover crop that you see here on the floor of this orchard perhaps is ready to be turned under, we could just bring a tractor in and turn it under, but instead what we can do is we'll put a fence in the field in small paddocks. It's an electric fence. It moves very easily. And we'll bring the sheep into that small paddock, and the sheep will then consume the leftover, crop residue or the cover crop or whatever it is, and then they'll be fertilizing and breaking down. They'll be breaking down that product and fertilizing the soil, and we'll have less tractor work to get the beds and the field ready for the next crop and the next planting. So what animals do is that they can consume what we think of as waste, coals, vegetable coals, cover crops, grasses. They can consume those things, and they can turn them into protein that we can eat, as well as they can sort of supercharge all of the microbial cycles that take place underground in the soil and provide nutrients for the growth of crops in a way that's kind of a sustainable way. It's not like giving them sugar and feeding them just the chemicals that they need. It's like giving them a full diet of organic materials that break down in response to the plant needs.
And I should think, with this cover crop, which is which you have here, for the sheep to come out here in with this magnificent grass would make them utterly ecstatic, I would think.
No. Animals, most of the animals that you think of as domesticated animals, maybe with, even pigs that like to eat grain, but pigs and chickens and sheep and cows, they're all better off if they have at least some green in their diet. And some of them, sheep, like to have all of their diet green. They really don't do so well if their whole diet is grain. It's not really that good for them. And so you find that in the cows, the feeding operations for cows in modern agriculture, those cows are just getting too much grain, and they aren't healthy. They're just not healthy, and so they're getting all this antibiotic in their food, supposedly to keep them healthy, when what they really need is a better diet.
Of course, a much more natural context. Here in California, especially, you're driving out to the Central Valley. You cannot go a mile or so, but you see the enormous tragedy of industrial agriculture and feedlots and so on, where the cows are kept knee high in mud their entire lives, and a skip loader comes along and tosses them a bale of hay, and this is an unspeakable tragedy. So I'm just so glad to see that here the animals on this farm have the chance to go out among the trees and the meadows and the magnificent cover crops and just feast. That's a magnificent, wonderful thing.
Yeah.
In biodynamics and with Rudolf Steiner, they're very much into the animal essence, which they say is essential for a healthy organic farm.
Okay, great. So this is what we call lambing season, when the mamas are having their lamb babies. And they have them in this nice protected field here. We have a little nursery. What you're seeing right behind me is our nursery, where the very young lambs stay with their moms, sort of isolated from the rest of the herd, so that they can bond and get to know each other's voices.
How wonderful. How wonderful. So in other words, the lambs we're looking at here are just a day or two old.
They're just a couple days old.
Just a couple days old. They just got born.
And you'll see when we send them out into the bigger field with the rest of the herd, you'll see that if the babies just run around and jump up and down and play all day, but then if they want their mom, they'll make a noise. They'll call to her, or if she wants them, she'll call to them. And so they've learned each other's voices.
Oh, how
Whereas
wonderful.
if we put them out there too early, they could easily get confused.
They could get confused.
So that's what this is, kind of our nursery for the really young ones.
A lamb nursery.
It's a lamb nursery. Yeah.
Oh, how wonderful.
And these sheep are very important in the whole cycle of Full Belly's vegetable production. They help us return nutrients to the soil. They consume waste products. We feel like they're very important in terms of our nutritious food and our soil fertility program.
Oh, how wonderful. I'm so glad. What a beautiful thing. A special nursery for very young lambs. That's a beautiful concept.
Yeah, during this time of year, the people that take care of the sheep come out every 3 hours, even during the night. So there's a whole rotation. Someone's here every 3 hours to check on the mamas as they're giving birth and make sure that everything's going fine, which it usually is. But also to bring, once there's a lamb born, to bring them in to the safety of our covered nurseries.
Oh, covered nursery.
Yeah, there's another nursery over there that's actually covered, that is when they're just born.
When they're just born.
They stay for a little while in a small, safe place.
Oh, how wonderfully humane, how kind, how gracious.
Yeah,
so
each
glad.
line of trees in this orchard is a different variety.
A different variety of peach.
Of peach or apricot or a different variety of stone fruit, but it is mostly peaches. So there's each different one is a different variety. You can see that some of them are still blooming and others have finished their blooms. And what actually happens is really wonderful. The apricots are the first for us to harvest early. And then we keep harvesting across the orchard as the bloom has moved and the fruits are maturing. We'll just harvest each kind of fruit as it matures. So we do really try to take this whole concept of diversity to the maximum. We try to maximize it. So we do grow lots of different peaches, and so we can say we grow peaches, but if you really want to get into it, we grow 10 different peaches.
10 different varieties of peaches.
Honeycrest and O. Henry and all, yeah.
Okay. And your emphasis is, of course, on old time and traditional varieties.
Yeah.
For example, your Blenheim apricots are beyond compare, and that happens to be a variety which is so increasingly rare. You rarely find it in the market. Because,
the reason you don't see it, there's lots of reasons that some of the really tasty fruit don't make it to market. One of them is because it's kind of a high maintenance relationship type of fruit. So the fruit, you want to get it when it's ripe. You want to pick it when it's ripe. And that means that people, when they take it home into their kitchens, have to understand that it's a ripe product. It may need to be put in a cool place. It may need to be protected from jostling around because it could bruise. And it may need to be eaten pretty soon, or else, if it's not eaten, made into ice cream or pie. So people have to, it's kind of like, not like the you know, the hard tomato that you buy in February in California that's not vine ripened. It may not taste very good, but you could store it for a while if you want. It just won't taste good.
It won't taste good.
So the thing about Blenheim apricots that is of interest to you is that it's the best tasting apricot, but it ripens from the inside out. So when you buy it or look at it in the store, you'll see these little green shoulders, and you'll think, that's not ripe, I don't want that apricot. But actually, the farmer has probably picked it at the perfect moment for you, so that it's little green on the shoulders. You take it home, and you wait a day, and then you open it up, and you'll find that it's perfectly ripe.
It's perfect.
See, so if it's a Blenheim, give it a chance. Be willing to build that relationship with that fruit. It's not an easy relationship. You can't just like ignore it and then eat it whenever you want and throw it around and put in a bag and then put all your bricks and things on top of it. You have to take care of it. But if you take care of it, it's going to reward you.
If you nurture. That's a beautiful.
Practically no grapes.
Then the other question I wanted to ask you: you have a CSA program, and I was wondering if you could elaborate or explain just what that is.
It's called community supported agriculture, and it's a way that a family can get to know the farm whose food they are eating. So it gives you the opportunity to have a direct relationship with your farmer, just like you'd like to have with your doctor. You want a family doctor? Well, we are the family farmer that you could eat your food from all year round. So you would get a box from us, and it would have 8 or 9 things from this farm. And it would change every week and every season what you would eat.
Okay, so it's a weekly box. And is this delivered to people's doors, or do they have to pick it up somewhere?
It can be delivered to the door, but also people pick them up at various places.
Or it
could be either way. It's a little extra if you want us to deliver it.
A little extra to deliver, but that's something you will do.
Yeah.
That's a great blessing. Is there any possibility of let's say some people are enthusiasts and they're sitting in front of a computer in downtown Berkeley, all day long. Suppose that they actually wanted. Is there any way for them to possibly come out here and help out if they were?
Well, we just had Open Farm Day.
You had an Open Farm Day?
Last Saturday. So we do have lots of events on the farm. We have monthly dinners that people can come and eat, full belly farm cooked produce and stuff. And so we have monthly farm day. We have tours of the farm. We have a festival in October called the Hose Down Harvest Festival, which Living Foods has always been a wonderful donor of. So there's lots of opportunities to get to know your farmer.
Oh, how wonderful. Yeah. I'm so glad. That's such a valuable and important connection indeed. And then another question. What do you see, Judy, as the main challenges ahead?
Yeah.
What are the main problems and difficulties, socially, politically, and whatever, that you see confronting us?
Yeah. Well, agriculture in California has long been a difficult business. The margin, economically, the margin is small. There's a lot of pressure on the land because there's people that want to buy the land and live in California because it's such a great place to live. So there's more and more people coming here to live. With more and more people arriving, that means that there's more demands on the water. And so the water and the land, all of those are things that farmers need. And we all have to decide if we want to support farmers in various ways and help them continue to farm in California and make it possible for them to make a decent living, or if we just want to buy all of our produce from South America and Mexico and import it here. So there's lots of challenges, and each year brings new challenges. Some of them are environmental. We're always trying to improve our environmental performance. Others are regulatory. Some of them are things like climate change and the strange weather. Sometimes we also have a very difficult time finding enough workers here in the late spring and summertime. So because we're in a rural area and there aren't that many people living nearby that want to work on farms. So each year it brings new challenges, and I think the critical thing is for people living in the United States and California here for us specifically is for those people to really figure out if they want agriculture in this state to be here for the next generation, because we have control over that.
Good. Well, we have to make it happen. Also, I want to point out that Thomas Jefferson thought long and hard about family farmers and people on the land, and he came to the conclusion that it's not just the nutritious vegetables and fruits that are grown, but there's something else about family farming that contributes to people's character, to people's spirit. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little about your thoughts and feelings in that direction. In other words, it's not just it has something to do with nurturing people as well as the land, as well as the fruits and veggies.
One of the reasons I think that our tours and farm visits are successful is because people love to be on a farm. It can be very transformational for people to see where their food is grown. And I know that I'm lucky to live here. I'm lucky to get this as my career, as my vocation, because it's beautiful to be able to nurture the plants, to nurture the soil, to help new farmers blossom and find farms for themselves. All of those things I feel like it's been a wonderful way for me to express who I am and do what I really love to do.
Wonderful. Judy, I just want to say this gives me so much encouragement and so much hope. If you read the headlines in this morning's newspaper, for example, you see that the whole world is going in a very, very different direction. And yet we see at the grassroots, at the foundation of this country, there is so much vitality, there is so much hope, there is so much life, there is so much generation going on here. And that gives us, and for me, that's very, very encouraging indeed. So there's nowhere to go but forward. And Judy, it has been an honor and privilege indeed.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you.